Would you prefer to do that?
Let me see what Cypress is on with them.
Oh, he would be the ideal person to see you long time.
That was just the
I can't stand it.
Go ahead, do it.
She's like amazing, right? She's amazing, so I want to make sure that everything is nice.
That was our first.
Okay. Page 44, Evado Karuna Koro.
Okay, here we go.
We're waiting for everyone to
Well, he might be coming, so I didn't want to start.
Should we read the translation while we wait?
Waiting for who?
Some redundant player.
Who's that? Tattva?
No.
The two lords Nitai and Gaurachandra are supremely merciful. They are the essence and the crown jewels of all avatars, and they are the source of the absolute bliss.
Are you reading the
What are we
translation
reading?
for the
Yeah.
current version or the last one?
Sorry, oh.
Oh, we're not doing
Page 44.
44.
44, not 84.
Oh yeah, 44.
Okay.
Nicole?
Evado Karuna Koro.
Jai ho.
O Vaishnav Goshai, be merciful to me now. You are the savior of the fallen souls. Except for you, there is no one who can deliver me. Where can one find such a merciful personality? By whose mere proximity one's sins go far away.
Only after touching the Ganga does one become purified, but simply by seeing you one is purified. This is your great quality.
Offenses committed at the lotus feet of Sri Hari are absolved by Harinam. But for offenses against you, there is absolutely no means of deliverance.
Sri Govinda is always resting in your heart. Govinda that says, the Vaishnavas are my life and soul.
In every birth I aspire for the dust of your lotus feet. Be compassionate to this Narottam Das and consider me your own.
Alright, that would be so talented. Let's sing it for the Paramananda.
Hey, dude, how you doing? Great. Hello from Fuji.
Would you like to start right away, Mark? You can arrange these as well.
I don't know if it's wide enough to start.
Did you wanna start right away, or should we sing though? Because we're only singing a few songs.
I'll sing a bhajan and then we'll start asking some. Like that. You already prepared, but I'm not prepared, so I have to sing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't worry. Just be aware of it, that's all. You don't have the cordless ones? The cordless ones. Well, this is 2014, I can't afford it. Come on now. You gotta get back up on the eventually time, man. Eventually, 2023 time.
Oh, so can I hold it in my
Oh,
hand?
that's just 2022.
Which one?
That was one.
This one. Ready? By the way, to pronounce. Nice to see you again. Everything okay?
पावन परम दयाल प्रेम दाता पद्मावती कुमार श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन श्री गौरंग महाप्रभु की जय। निताई गौर सीतनाथ प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। श्री चैतन्य नित्यानंद Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Chaitanya Gadadhara Srivasadi Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chaya Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chaya Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol 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 Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Varsani Wali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Gopal. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. From your heart. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna. Hare Hare Vrindavan Lal ki jai, Hare Saniwali ki jai, Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Gaura Siddhanath Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Perhaps everyone can move forward a little, because if more people come, there won't be any room. So.
Oh, Maharaj is sitting here? Bhagat Maharaj is sitting here.
He's sitting there. Keep them down with you because I may start singing spontaneously without any warning.
According to Bach.
Nama Shristam Manamapi Ishichi Putram Atra Purim Maturim Pushtuatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhvasam Prapto Yas Patita Kripaya Sri Guru Tam Natosu Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya Himabhadyavyacchavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahapremarasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya Vihina Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara Madhaveti Govinda Damodara
Charanantikam. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands and thousands of times, at the lotus feet of my holy mother. Hare Krishna. So a few days ago, we are most fortunate to be able to celebrate the blessed occasion of the Shubha Tirabhavati Mahotsav, the greatly auspicious disappearance separation festival from our Srila Gurudev in Miami with Maharaj, Shamarani Didi and many other senior Vaishnavas. Then after that we began to discuss about the Qatar of Vrindavan, the specialities of the various Geets of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We could not complete it there in Miami, so I promised the devotees we would continue the subject, here in Alachua. So some devotees have come from Miami also. But tonight this is our first evening here, and we will not continue that subject today. And tomorrow and the next day, but this evening, because even though we all have some desire to attain Vrindavan, Radha Krishna's Nitya Nikunja Seva in Vrindavan, but without Guru Kripa it is quite impossible. So first of all, this evening we want to discuss Sri Guru Tattva. In Bhagavatam it is said, Yasya Sakshat Bhagavati Jnana Deepa Padegaro Macha Saddhi Sutum Tasya Sarvam Kunjara Sochavat. That personality who gives us Sakshat Bhagavati, you should consider that he is a direct form of Krishna himself. Guru Krishna Rupahaya Shastra Pramane. Guru Pe Krishna Kripa Karen Bhakta Gani. Guru is one Krishna Rupa, form of Krishna who has appeared. And it is through that very form that Sri Krishna distributes Kripa, mercy, to all the devotees. So this is our first and foremost duty, responsibility. Pratamam tu Gurum Pujam Tatastaiva Mamachanam Kurvam Siddhim Avatnoti Hyanyata Nishvalabhavet. Sri Krishna himself had said, oh, don't serve me first, serve your Gurudev first. Worship your Gurudev first. And then after that you can worship me. If you do this, then there's no doubt you attain Siddhi, you become perfect. But if one does not worship his Gurudev first, then everything is nishval, has no fruit at all. Why? Because we cannot trespass. We cannot force our way into the divine realm. Everything is by permission only. So first, we seek permission from Gurudev to serve Gauranga. And then we seek permission from Gauranga to serve Radha and Krishna. Only when they open the door to divine plane and accept us as their near and dear one, as their associate, then we can enter. Otherwise not. By our own power, it is completely impossible. Now there are two types of Guru Sevak. Sadharan Guru Sevak and Vishesh Guru Sevak. The ordinary servant of Guru and the special servant of Guru. The ordinary servant of Guru thinks there are 64 angas of bhakti. And one of those angas is Guru Seva. And the Vishesh Guru Sevak thinks there is one anga of bhakti, Guru Seva. And my hearing, chanting, and remembering all the other angas, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, they're all parts of that service to Gurudev. That is the special Guru Sevak. So Shastra says, Yasya Devi Prabhakti, Tata Devi Yata Guru, Tasyaiti Kaltita Hyata Prakashante Mahatmana. If a person, they have Parabhakti, transcendental devotion to Krishna, and just as they are devoted to Krishna, they have same Shuddha Bhakti to Gurudev. Only to that person is the meaning. Here, meaning artha doesn't mean only meaning. It means actual substance. The actual aprakita vastu, supernatural things which are described in Shastra. Sriya Kantaha Kantaha Paramapurusha Kalpataravo. See Krishna, the supreme enjoyer of Braja, the gopis of Vrindavan, the Kalpa Vriksha trees. All these things, these arthas will appear in the heart of that person only who is devoted to Gurudev equally as he is devoted to Krishna, Supreme Lord. Shastra has said in the Svetashvata Upanishad. But in the Padma Purana, there it is said, Bhaktir yata haro meisti tadvarista garo yadi mamasti tena satyena sandarshayatu me hari. One devotee is praying, oh my Lord, if as I am devoted to you, Krishna, as I am devoted to you, if I am more devoted to Gurudev than I am to you, then kindly appear before me. And then Sri Krishna appeared before that devotee. Because Sri Krishna is especially attracted to that person who has even more devotion to his Guru than to himself. So, this is the power of Guru Seva. Guru Seva is Swatantra Anga of Bhakti, an independent Anga of Bhakti, in the sense that all other bhajan Angas, Napekshate, Guru Seva is effective and it is not dependent on the other Angas of Bhakti. So Sri Krishna explained this to his old school friend, Sudama Brahman. When Sri Krishna met with Sudama Brahman, they were reminiscing about their days in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni. So at that time, Sri Krishna said, Naham ija prajatibhyam tapasopasamenava tusayam sarvabhutatma guru sursurayayata. The verse is very well known. It's a very well known verse. Let's go into it deeply. The verse actually has a double meaning. One meaning is the meaning related to a guru who is Brahmanishta, who is fixed in Brahman realization. And another meaning is related to the guru who is Bhagavan Nishta, fixed in pure service to Bhagavan. So the first meaning, according to the guru's Brahmanishta, then it means that Naham Ijja. Krishna is saying, I am not so pleased by the performance of jagyas, which are the duties of a grihastha in Varnashram Dharma. A grihastha in Varnashram Dharma has to perform jagyas. So Naham Ijja, I am not so pleased by the person who performs his grihastha dharmas of yagya. Prajati Bhyam, I am not so pleased by that person, Prajati Bhyam. Jati means birth. So what is the birth within Varnashram Dharma? Upanayan Sanskar. When the guru gives the Brahmin thread and Brahma Gayatri Upanayan Sanskar, and after that then the Brahmachari can study the Vedas. So I am not so pleased, Prajati Bhyam, by, that indicates receiving the Upanayan Sanskar whereby you can perform the duties of Brahmacharya, Brahmachari's duties. Tapasa upasamenava, tapasa. Austerity is the duty of which ashram? Vanaprastha. The Vanaprastha retires from his home, sometimes also along with the wife to move to a holy tirtha. Control of the antakaran, the internal organ. That the mind should come under perfect control. That is the duty of the sannyasis. So, Tusayam sarvabhutatma guru sursurayayata. Krishna said, I am not so pleased by the person who does all of these things as I am to that person who serves his guru. So that is related to the activities of Varnashram Dharma and the guru who is Brahmanishta. But relevant to us, because our guru is... Please. It's Kali Yuga, these misunderstandings can happen. So Krishna said, I am not as pleased by the person who worships the deity, not ija. Prajatibhyam here means receiving the Panchachik Diksha mantra, and remembering Diksha mantras every day. I am not so pleased by that practice. Tapasa upasana. Here, tapasa means chitta ekagrata. Making your mind on any other bhakti, anger of bhakti, it is independent. So this is the glory of Guru. If one has a sambandha, one becomes dear to that person who is very, very dear to Radha. He's not really a demon, of course. He's a pure devotee. He's transcendental. But he's saying, like Sanatana Goswami, when Sanatana Goswami met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nicha Jati, Nicha Sanghi, Patita Adam, Ku Vishai, Ku Pipari, Goinu Jamam. Oh Mahaprabhu, I am a very low caste. He was a high caste Brahmin. But by association with Malechas Yavanas, he was ostracized from the Brahmin community. So I am very low caste. I have very bad association. And among all my bad associates, I'm the worst one. I have fallen into the deep well of sense enjoyment. Apanara hita hita kichuna jani, gramya vyavahara panditai satyamani. I don't know what's good for me. And I don't know what is detrimental for me. The common people say I'm a pandit. And I'm so foolish I believe them. But I don't even know who I am. So Prahlad Maharaj is very humble that the Lord is in front of him, wants to give him benedictions. And all Prahlad Maharaj can think of is Evam Janam Nipatitam Prabhavahi Kupe Kama Bikamam Anuya Prapapan Prasangat Kritvat Masat Surashina Bhagavan Grihite Soyam Katamnu Vistrijay Tava Britja Sevam. It's extremely beautiful. Evam Janam Nipatitam Prabhavahi Kupe. This material existence is like a deep well full of poisonous snakes. And all the people, they're just falling into this well, one after another, in the millions, in the darkness of material existence. How? Kama bikama. Means one desire after another is rising in their heart, and whatever samskar comes up in their heart, I want this, they follow it. And then another desire comes, they follow that. Another desire comes, they follow, and that's people's life, right? Someone's biography, you look at it, it's just, I want this. And these desires are just popping up from the subconscious mind on the basis of past life samskars. They're coming into the conscious mind and they're following it. So kama bikama anuya prapatam prasangat. And because I was associating with those persons who have that mindset of just following the flow of their own samskars, I also followed them and I came into that dark well of poisonous snakes. So my condition was tragic, disastrous, and hopeless. But then what happened? Kritvatma sat surashina bhagavan grihita. Surashinaha, Sura Rishi, that's Deva Rishi. Who's Deva Rishi? Narada Rishi. But my Guru Dev, Narada Rishi, Kritva Atmasat, he made me, Kritva Atma, he made me Atmasat. Just like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has prayed, Shakti Buddhihin Amiyati Din Koramore Atmasat. So this word Atmasat is very profound, very profound. Atmasat means, oh Gurudev, I am not independent at all. May you make me fully dependent upon you. I don't belong to myself even. Nothing is mine. Nothing is mine in this world. Even my own soul is mine. My soul belongs to you. My senses, my mind, my heart, everything is yours. May my body, mind, senses, everything become one with yours. Like Rupa Goswami said to Haridas Thakur about Sanatana Goswami. Hey, Haridas, this Sanatan, he doesn't know the basics of Dharma. What's the first rule of Dharma? Don't destroy someone else's property. So Sanatana Goswami, because he had a disease, a skin disease, and Mahaprabhu was embracing him, and the blood from his body was coming on Mahaprabhu's body when he embraced him. He's like, oh, I'm so offensive, I want to give up this body. And so he's contemplating to give up his body by jumping before the wheels of the rat cart on Rath Yatra Day. But Mahaprabhu said, this Sanatan doesn't know the basics of Dharma. First thing is, don't destroy someone else's property. Said, hey Sanan, your body is my property. And I have many things I want to do through you. So that's Kritva Atmasat. That Mahaprabhu had made Sanatana Goswami Atmasat, that Sanatana Goswami's body was Mahaprabhu's body. And through Mahaprabhu's body, Mahaprabhu was performing what he wanted to do. Their hearts were one. Their senses were one. This is Kritva Atmasat. So Srila Vishnu Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, Kritva Atmasat, he said that Prahlad Maharaj is saying that Narad Rishi was so kind that even though I was completely fallen and in this despicable condition, but he made me a part of himself. He made me a part of himself. This is amazing. This is why, in some institutions, the Guru Parampara goes this way. Your Guru, then his Guru, and then his, like that way. But we do it the other way around. Right? We put our Guru that side, and the Parampara is going this way. Why? Because Shaktis expand from the left. Gadadhar Pandit is on the left side of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radharani. So from Radharani comes Rupa Manjari, and from Rupa Manjari comes all the other Manjaris, and so they each is expansion of each other. So Kritva Atmasat, when Gurudev makes us Kritva Atmasat, he makes us an expansion of his own bhav. Because he infuses his bhav into the disciple. And that disciple becomes his Sakhi, her Sakhi. Like expansion. So Kritva Atmasat Surashina, Bhagavan Grinite. So Prahlad Maharaj just said to Nishingadev, when Nishingadev wants to give an offering, he said, So Yam Katamanu Vishijay Tava Brityasena. From nothing, from being nothing, Narad Rishi made me a part of himself. He made me transcendental. So how can I do anything but serve him? How could I possibly give up Britya Sevam, Tava Britya Sevam, the service of your servant? This is Guru Tattva. Chew, swallow, digest. So they become very strong. The words of Prahlad Maharaj are so powerful. So now consider this. I want to touch on a topic that Srila Gurudev would often touch on. But it's very rarely clearly understood. That is that our Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that Indian historians, analyzing history and analyzing Shastra, they have discerned about 12 different traditions within the Vedic tradition. 12 different traditions through which the Vedic tradition and the Vedic knowledge descends. And those traditions have names like Satvata, Vaikanasa, Pancharatra, Bhagavata, and so on. So there's about 12 historical groups. But now in Kali Yuga, most of those lines have been lost. And essentially, all those who are on the path of bhakti fall into two categories, the Pancharatras and the Bhagavatas. Because sometimes it happens that devotees, they find out that in our Guru Parampara, not every Guru is initiated by the previous Guru or something like that. And then it's like the rug has been pulled from under their feet. And they're falling through space. What happened? And faith is... So don't think like this. This is only because devotees in the modern times became so insular, and they thought that Diksha was the only way that two souls can be connected in a tradition. Because they don't see the big picture of history. So in history, the Pancharatric line was not the only type of line. There were 12 different types of lines. But now extant is mainly the Pancharatric line and the Bhagavat line. So some persons think, oh, what is this? Bhagavat Guru Parampara? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur just made it up. Huh? So just to refute that idea, I want to present the teachings of Shastra on this subject, Jiva Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam, and so on. So first of all, the Pancharatric system is the connection between Guru and disciple, which is made by the process of Diksha. Divyam Jnanam Yato Datyat Kuryat Papasa Sankshayam Tasmat Diksheti Sa Prokta Deshikais Tattva Vidai. It is said, Tattva Vidai, learned persons who know the Tattva, they say that Diksha is a process by which Dibya Gyan, transcendental knowledge, is given, and Papa Sankshaya, all the sins, the samskars of material existence, they are gradually removed. So, in this phrase, Diksha, there are two syllables, Diksha. Di means Dibya Gyanam, transcendental knowledge. And transcendental knowledge means Dibya Jnanam Hyatra Srimati Mantre Bhagavat Srupa Jnana Tena Bhagavat Sambandha Vishesh Jnanam Cha. Dibya Jnana is knowledge which is imparted through the medium of a mantra. And this knowledge has two parts. Bhagavat Swarup Jnana, what is the beautiful Swarup, the form of your Ishtadev? And Bhagavat Sambandha Vishesh Jnanam Cha, what is your Vishesh Sambandha, your special relationship? Is it in Dasya-ras, Sakya-ras, Vatsalya-ras, Madhurya-rasa? And in Madhurya-rasa there are also so many different types. So what is your Vishesh Sambandha? So these two types of knowledge are imparted through the medium of a mantra. And that is the meaning of Diksha. And the sins are removed. That is, all the samskars in the mind from past impious activities, they go away, so the chitta becomes clean and realization can shine there. So that Diksha is a process. It begins when the person begins to surrender to Guru. So a person, their Diksha may have begun before receiving the mantra even, because they're starting to surrender. And someone may receive mantra and their Diksha hasn't started yet. Because they're not serving. Narayanopi vikriti yati guru prachutasya durbode kamalam jaladapetam shoshayati ravena poshayati. Shastra said that if, after receiving initiation, the disciple does not engage fully their body, mind and words in Guru's service, then the Supreme Lord becomes pretty upset with that person. Vikritim, he becomes disturbed by that person. Because he promised to serve his Guru and surrender, but he just tried to pick the pocket of Guru, I'm going to take something and go. So, and what happens to that person? Though he tries to engage in bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, but he's not dedicated to the mission of his spiritual master, then kamalam jalada petam. He is just like a lotus flower who is not in the water. Soshayati varvena poshayati. For a lotus flower to open, it requires the sunlight. So the sunlight, that is the mercy of the Supreme Lord that comes through the practice of bhakti. But if the lotus flower is not situated in the water, then the sunlight will just burn the lotus. It will dry it up and it will die. So if one is independently practicing bhakti, disconnected from Guru Seva, it will not save him. He will not have taste, he will not have realization. A person without Guru cannot have any realization. A person with Guru but not serving Gurudev, he cannot have any realization. Only the person who is connected with Gurudev and serving Gurudev, when they do sadhana kal, At the time of their sadhana, Gurudev, by his mercy, he sends the Anubhav, divine realization. So, Diksha process is the mantra is given and the disciple is serving his Guru. Slowly, he comes to the platform of realized Sambandha Gyan. Now, we come to the Bhagavad Sampradaya. Oh, one thing. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said that bhakti alone, hearing, chanting, remembering, is so powerful. It can give perfection without diksha. If the person has a guru and he's serving him and hearing and chanting under his guidance, he can get perfection even without diksha. So that shows the Bhagavad Guru Parampara. He said, but there's a problem. If the chitta is not steady when you chant, then you will commit offenses and you will not have realization. And therefore, because the living entities, Dehadi Sambandhena, because of having a strong sambandha with their own body, they have two faults. One is called Vikshipta Chitta, unsteady mind, distraction. The mind is distracted. And the other one is called Kadarya Shil. Kadarya Shil means a tendency to do irreligious activities, non-spiritual activities, so dharmic, anything impious is called Kadarya Shil. So they have those habits. So because the living entities having a strong sambandha with their own body have these two problems. Vikshipta Chitta, distracted mind, and Kadarya Shil, unclean habits. Therefore, the path of Archan is given. And within that path of Archan, there is Pancharatrik Diksha. The Pancharatrik Diksha is in. So that because along with Diksha, then there will be, Diksha has 5 angas. First, there is the Tapa. The one has to approach the Guru in a spirit of regret, repentance, Tapa. Then Urdhvapundra, Guru gives Tilak. And then he gives you Harinam, then he gives you mantra, and then he teaches you how to serve the deity. These are 5 angas of Diksha. So when the devotee is serving the deity and remembering Gayatri mantras, that means you have to wake up early in the morning, have to take shower, put on clean cloth, go to the temple room. His whole life becomes regulated. So by the regulated life, he gradually overcomes his life of bad habits. And by offering the articles systematically, 16 type of articles, Sadas Upachar, Esha Puspanjali, Idamasanam, Etatpadyam, all the 16 articles one by one, as he's worshipping, that makes his restless mind become steady. And then when his mind became steady and his bad habits have overcome, then when he engages in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, then the actual Prabhav, that is the power, the influence of those angas of bhakti is manifest in his heart. So, the Bhagavad Sampradaya and the Pancharatik Sampradaya, they work together. In the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Sadyo Ridya Varuda Tayattakriti Bisu Sru Sibis Tachanat. As soon as a person desires to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, a pious person, desires to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Lord enters into his heart and is captured there. But here there's a condition, right? Terms and conditions. Look at the small print. It says Kriti B. This is applicable. The immediate realization of God by hearing is applicable for Kriti Bihi. That means by those persons who are Kriti B, they're accomplished or pious. But what does Kriti B mean? Here Kriti means Labdwa Nugara Acharya Tena Sandarshika Agamaha Mahapurusham Abhyachen Murtya Bhimata Atmana. Labdwa Nugara Acharyat. That soul who has received the mercy, the kindness of the Acharya. That means he's received Diksha. Tena Sandarshita Agamaha. And he is engaged in serving the deity according to the principle of the Tantra Shastras, Agama Shastras, like Pancharatra, Vaishnav Tantra, Pancharatra. So then, Mahan Purush Abhyachen, he's serving the deity, Murtya Abhimata Atmanaha, according to his own Abhiman. What that means specifically is, let's say a devotee is worshipping the Shalagram Shila. So the Shalagram Shila is not necessarily a specific form of the Lord, but rather it is Bhagavad Aka Adhisthan, the place where the form of the Lord manifests. So the Guru will tell him, your relation with Krishna is like this or like this. And then he'll worship that Shalagram Shila according to his own Abhiman. And then Krishna will manifest there to him in the Shalagram Shila, Murtyabhimata Atmanaha, according to his Abhiman. So that person who has received Diksha from the Guru, who has become purified and he's serving Krishna in a particular sambandha, so that person is Kriti. So for that person, Sadhyo Ridhya Tayatra Kritibi Susrusivichasanat. When that person listens to Bhagavatam, he's just hearing and he sees through the ears. He smells through the ears. Yetu Todiya Charnam Bhujakosha Gandam Jigranti Karna Vivarai Sutivartanitam. Hearing the air of the Harikatha goes in his ear, and by his ear he smells the lotus feet of Krishna. And he becomes like a bumblebee. When a bumblebee smells the lotus from far away, then he becomes very excited and humming Haribol, and quickly flies there and tastes the nectar of that lotus. And also for that devotee, Bhaktagrihita Charana Parayata Tesham Na Paisinata Hridayamburat Sapumsam. Now that devotee's heart is flowing with the honey of bhakti. So the devotee's heart becomes like a lotus. And smelling the fragrance of that devotee's devotion, Krishna now becomes like a bumblebee. And he's very excited, and Krishna runs to that devotee and becomes intoxicated and will not leave his heart again. So Sadyori Dyavarudate Trakriti Tachanat. This is the meaning. Ridyavarudate Atra. Krishna becomes caught there. Because the sweet fragrance of bhakti is emanating from the lotus of the heart of the devotee. And now Krishna becomes like a bumblebee and flies and is caught there. Because the bumblebee lands in the lotus and he gets so intoxicated drinking the honey, forgets about time. And then the sun goes down and the lotus closes on him. And he cannot get out. Actually, the bee can bite his way through the knot of bamboo. It's so hard and the bee is so strong. But he cannot get out of the petals of the lotus. Because he's just so intoxicated. He can't get it together to get out. So Sadhyo Ridyavarudate Atra Kritibi Susu Tomarari Doye Sada Govinda Visram Govinda Kohena Mama Vaishnava Puran. Hey Vaishnava Thakur, Krishna is always relaxing, resting very happily in your heart. And Krishna thinks, oh Vaishnava Thakur, you are my Pran. So this is Sadhyo Ridyavarudate. So this is the synergistic way in which the Pancharatric system and the Bhagavad system, they work together. So now, Praman for the Bhagavad Sampradaya. I want to say that the Bhagavad Sampradaya and the glories of the Bhagavad Sampradaya have been discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam. And especially the history of two Bhagavad Sampradayas are given in Srimad Bhagavatam. First, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there Maitreya Rishi is giving instructions to Vidura, and he explains his own parampara. So this Bhagavad Sampradaya, and in the beginning, in the first chapter of the third canto, Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on the Bhagavatam, he says that in this canto, the glories of the Bhagavad Sampradaya will be described. And he says, Dvaivida, there are two types. There are two Bhagavad Sampradayas mentioned here in Srimad Bhagavatam. And the first one goes from Sankarshan to Sanat Kumar. From Sanat Kumar to Sankyayan Muni. From Sankyayan Muni to Parashara. From Parashara to Maitreya Rishi. And now in this canto it will be Maitreya Rishi to Vidura. So that's one Bhagavad Sampradaya. There's someone else in that Bhagavad Sampradaya as well. Again, the head of the Sampradaya is And then his disciple, not Pancharatric Diksha disciple, the disciple by hearing Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Sampradaya. So Sankarshan and his disciple is Sanat Kumar. His disciple is Sankyan Rishi. Sankyan Rishi's disciple is Brihaspati. And Brihaspati's disciple is Uddhav. Uddhav. Right? Because Vidura meets with Uddhav. And then Uddhav said, actually Maitreya, he's the senior Vaishnava, so you go and hear from him. Because I don't want to do the Madhyada Vyatikrama.
Can you repeat that, please?
Which part?
The last sentence.
Yes. Uddhav, when he met with Vidura, then he told Vidura, go and hear from Maitreya because he's very senior. So he spoke something, we'll speak about that later, but he told him to go to Maitreya. And Maitreya is telling all the Bhagavad Gita to Vidura in the 3rd canto. So this is one Bhagavad Guru Parampara, and Jiva Goswami also mentions this on the subject of the glories of the Bhagavad Guru in the Sandarbhas as well. And of course, Sri Krishna said to Uddhav, Uddhavon vapimanyu no, yadguna nadita prabho, ato madvayanam bhatam, grahayam hi atishtatu. Before Krishna left this world, he told everyone had left, all the Yadu dynasty had left, right? And the Brijbasis, they'd all left long time before. And Uddhav, now Krishna's leaving, Uddhav wants to go, why not? Everyone else is going. All the other Yadavas are going. Krishna said, no, you have to stay in this world. Why? Uddhavon vapimanyu no. Oh, Uddhav, you are not even not even atomically less than myself. Nuddhavon vapimanyu no. You are not even anu less than me. Yadgunanadita prabhu. You are completely beyond the 3 gunas. Atovad vayuna ba lokam. You have to stay here. Why? Madvayuna lokam. You have to spread madvayu, my air. This air is Harikatar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Grihan hi atishtatu. So accept this. Hi atishtatu. You must stay here in this world and you will speak Harikatha. And by speaking Harikatha, you will be not even 1 atom less than me. So there's a secret in this. The secret is this. The Bhagavad Guru Parampara coming from the Sankarshan is described in the 3rd canto. But the details of the other Bhagavad Guru Parampara are described very beautifully at the end in the 12th canto. Though something is there in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, but the specific principle is described in the end. There, Sutta Goswami says, Kasma yena vibasitoya matalo jnana padipa pura tadrupena chanaradaya munayo krishnaya tadrupina yogrindaya yadatmatata bhagavat rataya karunyatas tatshuddam vimalam rashokamamritam satyam param dhimahi. So here Sutta Goswami is very humbly speaking with great humility. He's saying, Satyam Param Dhimahi. I meditate on that supreme, pure, transcendental personality of Godhead. That is Sri Krishna. Tat Shuddham Vimalam Vishokam Amritam. He is nectar. He is without lamentation. He is completely pure. And what did he do? Kasma yena vibasitoya matalam jnana pradipa pura. In the beginning of the manifestation of the universe, see, Krishna gave this Gyan Pradip, this light of knowledge, to Brahma. Then, Tadrupena Chataradaya. Then, Tadrupena means in the form of Brahma, he gave it to Narad. Tadrupena Chanaradaya. Muneo Krishnaya Tadrupena. Tadrupena means, and then, in the form of Narad, he gave it to Vyasadeva, Krishna Muni. And then, then Yogindraya tadatma na atmanata, tadatma. Then, in the form of Vyasadeva, he gave it to Yogindraya, to Shukadev Goswami. Bhagavataya Karunyatas. And then in the form of Shukadev Goswami, it's not saying here, he gave it to Shukadev Goswami. The verse stops there. But the implication is, then in the form of Shukadev Goswami, Krishna gave it to me. And he's not saying it, but it's implied. And now, that Sutta Goswami who is speaking to Shonaka Rishi, the implication is, you think you're looking at Sutta Goswami. It's true. But actually, Krishna has incarnated as me, and he is directly instructing you. And that's why it's called the Bhagavat Sampradaya. Because in the Bhagavat Sampradaya, the only speaker of the Bhagavat is Bhagavan. Bhagavan speaks it to Brahma. Then he enters into Brahma, and Tadrupena, in the form of Brahma, Krishna teaches it to Narad. Then he enters into Narad, and Krishna, in the form of Narad, teaches it to Vyas. In the form of Vyas, teaches it to Shukadev. In the form of Shukadev, teaches it to Sutta. And Sutta Goswami he leaves it there for his audience to figure it out, because he's very humble. So, and this is why it's called the Bhagavad Guru Parampara, because the propagator of the message of the Bhagavatam is Bhagavan. So, and there, that verse is of course describing the second Bhagavad Guru Parampara of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Jiva Goswami in his commentary says, here is the description of the Mahima of the Bhagavad Guru Sampradaya. So if anyone says that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur has just made this up, the Bhagavad Guru Parampara, then they are only making an exhibition of their own ignorance, that they have not studied the Goswami's writings. They don't understand the whole context of Vedic history. So they are not at fault. Agyahi doshi. Always remember that. When someone does something wrong, don't become upset. Just say, Agyahi doshi. Agya means ignorance, and doshi means the culprit. Who's the culprit? Who's the culprit? Who's the bad person? Only ignorance. It's not his fault. It's just the fault of ignorance. So, now, you know what he said? Acham eva hare pujam ya sadayate natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sa bhakta prakrita smritaha. That the prakrita bhakta, that is the Kanishta Adhikari, or the prakrita bhakta, he's on the path of Archan. He has faith in Archan, but he doesn't know how to properly associate with devotees. That means that Kanishta Adhikari, that prakrita bhakta, the materialistic devotee, he only has faith in Archan. He cannot understand the concept of the Guru Parampara, of the Bhagavad Guru Parampara. And because the reason is, he doesn't understand Bhakti Tattva. That's it, he just doesn't understand Bhakti Tattva. Swalpa api ruchi eva syat Bhakti Tattva prava bodhikaha. Rupa Goswami Pad said, until one has at least some ruchi, then Bhakti Tattva avabodhika, you cannot understand it. So, because the Prakrita Bhakta hasn't come to the stage of ruchi yet, he has a Prakrit idea of how Bhakti is passed. It has to be passed on through some rituals and mantras and everything. He can't understand that the Shabda Brahma coming from the lips of the Bhagavad Guru actually reveals the whole of Vrindavan. I remember the very first day I met Srila Gurudev was during Navadip Parakram in 1991 in Devananda Gaudiya Math. I remember the first class I heard from him. He said, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur experiences the mantra vistar. That means the opening of mantra. So for him, in the syllable kling, the entirety of Vrindavan Lila is there. Everything. And there's no necessity to add anything to that. But that manifestation, the spota dharma, the sporti of the Shabda Brahma, will not come in the person who is not become kriti, become purified. So if someone has very good qualities and practice from their previous life, only by hearing they can get everything. But in most cases, especially in Kali Yuga, we'll have to combine the Pancharatric process. And then as we advance and make the transition to Madhyamadikari, then we can really understand and realize the nature of the Bhagavat process. Understand? That is making the transition from the Prakrit material idea of what bhakti is to the actual transcendental experience of bhakti. How is that accomplished? So Srila Gurudev used to say that the door to bhakti is Sharanagati. Sharanagati, surrender, is the door to bhakti. So from Adosraddha up to Nishtha, this is just the development of Shraddha. From Komala Shraddha to firm Shraddha. Right? Gradual surrender. Because a person full of anarthas can't surrender. So the anarthas are gradually going, and then they completely surrender, and then they can experience what bhakti is. Bhakti parashena bhavo viraktir anyat. Strength is coming and his hunger is going away. So bhakti, that means that when a person hears, as soon as they're hearing, they're seeing. They're experiencing Krishna. Have you ever had the experience when you put food in your mouth and you start chewing and you don't taste anything? You don't experience the taste of the food? No. So bhakti is actually, and it's a prabhadyamana. As the devotee is more and more surrendered, then he has more and more anubhav. Bhakti paresha anubhav. Paresh anubhav. Krishna has explained it in another way. Yatha yatatma paribrijyate so madguna kata shravana bidhane tata tatat pasyati vastu sukshmam chaksho yataivanjana samprayuktam. The meaning is that just as a person who has diseased eyes, he can put an anjan, an ointment on it, and gradually, the very fine things that he could not see before, they come into his vision. So in the same way, for the person who is surrendered, the degree to which they go on hearing, chanting and remembering, then to that degree they pasyanti, they see the Lord in their heart. His form, then qualities, then associates, pastimes, etc. Like this. So, the door to this experience of pure bhakti is Sharanagati. Now Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he said a very wonderful thing about how we can gauge whether or not we are Sharanagat, surrendered. There's a metric. There's a metric by which one can gauge, am I surrendered? And he said this metric applies, by this you can understand whether you are entering pure bhakti. By this you can gauge if you have achieved Mahaprabhu's instruction, Tranada pi sunichena taror pi Vishnu. Vaishnava hite chilomorasad. Tranada pi sunichen slok parigalubad. Is it one devotee poet, he said, I heard about the glories of the Vaishnavas and I decided I want to be a Vaishnava. So then I tried to be a Vaishnava. But then I came up against a brick wall. A big obstacle I couldn't pass. What was that? It was the Shastakam is in stages. And this verse, Tanada Pisunichena, indicates the full Sharanagati. And it is the door. It is the narrow gate. You know, Jesus Christ, Christmas is coming soon, so might as well say, Jesus Christ said, enter by the narrow gate, because the gate that goes to hell narrow. It's like the edge of a razor. Koryasya darya nishita kurataya durgas patam tat pakavyo vadanti. It's like the edge of a very, very narrow. And if you go through there, you can only go through one at a time, which means that you have to go through in the anugatya of the Vaishnava who's in front of you. So it also indicates the anugatya. So if you want to enter Varsana, Brishubhanu Pure Janamaloibo Javate Vivahobe. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, when will I take birth in Javat? And then afterwards, when will my hand be given in marriage? Take birth in Brishabhanupur. And then when will my hand be given in marriage in the village of Yavat? So the entrance into Bhakti is very narrow. This verse, Tranadapi Sunichena. So Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur is giving one metric, one measurement, how we can understand these three things if we are Tranadapi Sunichena, if we are entering pure Bhakti, or if we are Sharanagat. What is that? Sakshitva. Sakshitva. Note it down in your heart. Shakshitva means witnesshood. Witnesshood. Jagrat swapa susuktang cha gunato buddhi brittayaha. Tasam vilakshino jiva sakshitwena vinishtitaha. Sri Krishna told Uddhav, hey Uddhav, there are three states of consciousness. Being awake, dreaming, and deep sleep. And these three states of consciousness are three types of modification of buddhi. Being awake is a predominantly sattva. Comes from tamas. But tasam vilakshano, the jiva, the soul, is different from these three states. Why? Sakshitwena vinishitaha. The jiva's identity can be ascertained. In other words, you can identify who you are by noticing that you are the sakshi, the witness of these three changing states. You are the one who watches your buddhi in the waking state. You watch it while you're dreaming, and you watch it when you're in deep sleep. There's nothing to see.
Okay.
Thank you. So Shakshitva means to be situated as the witness of your own chitta vritti. Give an example. In the Shankar Sampradaya, there's one famous shastra called the Drig Drishva Vivek, discrimination between the seer and the seen. Drig Drishva Vivek. So there it is said, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik. Tad Drishyam Drik tu Manasam. Drishya Divritaya Sakshi Drigevana tu Drishyate. The Gaudiya interpretation, among 6 darshans, one is Vedanta, and we are the followers of Gaudiya Vedanta. Gaudiya Darshan. So darshan indicates 3 things: drasta, drishya, and darshan kriya. Drasta means the seer. Drishya means that which is seen. And darshan kriya means the act of seeing. So how do we understand these 3 things in Gaudiya Darshan? Now in this verse from the Shankar Sampradaya, it's saying, Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drik. Form, the forms that we see around us in this world, they are the seen. Rupam Drishyam, and what is seeing them? Lochanam Drik, your eye. Your eye is seeing the forms. Tadrishyam Drik tu Manasam. And what is seeing the eye? Your mind. So first your eye is the seer, and the forms of the world are the seen. Then your mind is the seer, and what your eye is doing is the seen. Right? Then the Shakshi, the soul, is the seer of the movements of the mind. Drishya Divritaya Sakshi. Drigevadna to Dishyate. And this soul He is the seer of the movements of the mind, but he no one sees. And this is the mistake of Shankaracharya. Because the truth of the matter is, there's another seer. And that is Paramatma. Paramatma is a drik, drashta, the seer, and the soul is the drishya, seen. So now, what is the symptom of one who's actually Trinada Pisuni? And in that state, then, they are the Shakshi in relation to their own chittavrittis. Like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Naiva kinchit karomiti. A person in pure consciousness, whether they are standing, sitting, walking, talking, opening or closing their eyes, knows that the senses are engaged with the objects, but the self is doing nothing. He's watching it. That's Trinada Pisunichana. Because a blade of grass thinks, I am a blade of grass. So to become more humble than a blade of grass, you have to be the Shakshi of your body and mind. You see? So here, the drashta is the soul, and the object of vision is your own chittavrittis. That's surrender. And you are drishya, you are the seen in relation to the aprakrita vastu. In other words, I cannot see God, but God is watching me at every moment. And you feel the eye of the Lord on you at every moment. That's the meaning of the Vedic mantra. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya Diviva Chakshur Atatam. The Supreme Lord is like the sun, an eye in the sky looking down and seeing everything. So the person who is aware that the Supreme Lord is looking at him all the time, but he personally has no power to see the Lord unless the Lord mercifully reveals himself. That person is situated in a pure consciousness. He's surrendered. He's Trinada Pisunichana. He is the qualified person to enter into pure bhakti. Now what's the converse of that? What's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is to think that instead of the self being the Shakshi, the witness of the Chittabritti, to think that I am my Chittabritti. I am Chittabritti means the movements of my own mind. In other words, you wake up in the morning, then you wake up and the mind is going, oh yeah, I don't feel so good today. What should I do? I need something to wake me up. Right? And then it's not bad, it's not my best day today, I'm having an off day today. Like this. Why? That means the self is identifying with the Chittabritti. Right? So that's the converse of actually being surrendered, the converse of being more humble than a blade of grass, and the converse of being qualified to practice pure bhakti. So if we're hearing, chanting, remembering, with our identity merged in with our own Chittabritis, it's not pure, that's the Prakrita Bhakta. That's the materialistic devotee who can't understand the Bhagavad Sampradaya and the actual power of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam to give direct anubhav at every moment. Understand? So, but hence, that has another component. When the self is merged with his own Chittabritis and thinks, this is what I am, then his tendency is to think that he is the Shakshi. He's not the Shakshi of his Chittabritti. He thinks he's the Shaktri of the Aprakrita Vastu. Yeah, of the transcendental. So that's the big problem. Because now he's chanting Harinam, Hare Krishna, and thinks, I am chanting, I can produce the name from my tongue. And now I'm even going to produce the Leela in my mind. Here it is, I'm watching it. I'm watching it. Okay, Krishna, come on, another episode. So the Prakrita Bhakta, he becomes Prakrita Sahajya. And all his practice is imitation of actual bhakti. Because he hasn't surrendered, he didn't go through the door yet. He's not entered into the Madhyam stage where he can really experience the nature of pure bhakti. So just to summarize that again, the person who is surrendered, the person who is Trinada Pisunichena, the person who has entered through the door into the experience of pure bhakti, he is the Shakshi, the witness of his own Chittabritti, but he's not the Shakshi of the Aprakrita Vastu. He is Drishya, he's the object of vision of the Aprakrita Vastu, and he's aware of that at every moment in his practice. O Nam Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Sudurminiryas Madhuri Puryat Tam Krishna Nama Kama Spurame Rasane Rasena Sada. Oh, you who give life to the Veena of Narad Muni. Narad Muni doesn't play his Veena, he just sings Radharaman Haribo, and his Veena comes alive and starts playing itself. Narad Vinod's Jivana. The name gives life to Narad's Veena. Madhuri Pura. Oh name, you are like the crest of the wave in an ocean of sweetness. Tam Krishna Nama come alone, come with rasa. Come with the nectar of your beautiful loving pastimes with all your associates as well. So that's the vision of the actual devotee. So we have to put our finger on our own pulse and see, am I in that sthir buddhi? That's why we have to do Guru Seva actually. Because by doing Guru Seva and being dedicated Guru, then you get sthir buddhi. The chitta becomes steady and one becomes a Shakshi in relation to his own chitta vritti and aware of his drishya. That he's drishya, he's the seen by the aprakrita vastu, and then he can do real bhajan. Not pretend, not artificial, not imitation. And then the flip side of that is we identify ourselves as our chitta vritti, whatever's going on in the mind, whatever thought or feeling is there, that's me. And then we have the habit of thinking, I'm the Shakshi, I can see, that somehow I can perceive the aprakrita vastu. So everything is, that's called viparya smriti. That his smriti, his memory or understanding is flipped upside down. Dvayam dvitya abhinavesitashat ishat apetasya. When the soul turns away from God, then viparya smriti, his whole concept of life is flipped upside down. So we just try to describe both sides of the coin. Yeah, that's it. So it's essential to hear Harikatha. Harikatha is very, very powerful. Another person who had the darshan of the Supreme Lord, you think, oh, he's having the darshan of the Supreme Lord. That's perfect. He doesn't want anything. But when Prithu had the darshan of the Supreme Lord, he said, Sa uttama shloka mahad mukhachuta bhavat padambora sudha kana nilaha smritim puna vismrita tattva vatmanam kuyoginam no vitatatralam barai. Very beautiful verse. He's saying, oh my Lord, Sa uttama shloka, you are uttama shloka. Your shloka, your glories are uttama, beyond this world. Or your glories are sung by those Vaishnavas who are uttam. The Uttam Bhagavat sing your shloka, your glories. So uttama shloka, mahan mukhachuta. The Mahat, the great realized Vaishnavas whose hearts are full of rasa, mukhachuta. From their lips, nectar is falling. What is that nectar? Bhavat padambora sudha. It's the sudha, the nectar of your lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet are very, very soft, sweet, very fragrant. And also they may be smeared also with some cosmetics from the bodies of Braj Gopis. When the Braj Gopis held his feet on their hearts. That is the sudha of Krishna's lotus feet. So Bhavat padambora sudha kana nila. Kana means a little particle. And anila means air, the breeze. So there are three things here. Sudha kana nila. The nectar of Krishna's lotus feet is present in Harikatha. Then Sudha kana, a particle of that nectar of Harikatha. And then Anila, the air that touched that particle of the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet, which is non-different from that Shabda Brahma, that Harikatha. So now he's saying that Smritim Puna Vismrita Tattva Vartmanam. What to speak of the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet? What to speak of even one atom of the nectar of lotus feet? But only the air that touched the atom, that means the air that touched a little particle of Harikatha, if it touches someone, then smritim puna vismrita tattva vartmanam, that soul who has forgotten the tattvas, puna smriti, it awakens his memory. Kuyoginam, no, like us. He's saying us kuyogis. So out of humility, Prithu Maharaj is saying, myself and others, we're kuyogi, we're bad yogis, because we keep forgetting the tattva. The tattva is we're not this body. And we are the soul, and the soul is the servant of God. Now, it may happen that sometimes by chanting very deeply and having high-class association, by going to see Gurudev and you just have Gurudev's darshan, and just in a moment you listen to Gurudev's katha and you feel as, oh, I'm the soul. I'm transcendental. And the samskar comes from that experience. But the problem is, and this is described in the Yoga Shastras. You see, a yogi every day, he does his meditation and he tries to go into samadhi. He goes into first sampragyata samadhi. And in that samadhi, he's in that samadhi, then afterwards he comes out again. And then these other samskars from his life experience, which are not samadhi experiences, they cover over his samadhi experience. Right? So then what he does is every single day he's meditating to make more and more samskars of the samadhi experience of being an unembodied spiritual being. Life, so he can be in that state of understanding the tattva, atma tattva, all the time. And then he's a successful yogi. But Prithu Maharaj here is saying, I'm a cool yogi. I'm a cool yogi because previously, in a previous verse, the Lord had said that you are the soul, you are part of God, you are not this body. And he remembered it. He said, but I keep forgetting it. But what happens is, and you may experience it yourself, that sometimes in your spiritual life you have moments of great clarity. Spiritual clarity. Especially in sadhu sangha. Right? But then afterwards, when the sadhu sangha goes away and you have to do other things, of course bhakti, but not in that high class association, then the worldly sanskars come. And then that clarity becomes clouded. Right? You lose the clarity. It may be even when in the Kanishta stage, Komala Sraddha, the faith becomes interrupted and doubts come in the mind. Am I really not the body? Is Krishna really a blue cowboy? He plays the flute. What? Did Radha Krishna really become one and become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Incarnate in Bengal, or this is just some Bengali sage or something? Like doubts, some sanshaya can come like that because the impressions of the clarity now become overpowered by the worldly impressions. So that's called kuyogi. So here, Prithu Maharaj is saying, oh my Lord, I only want to have the association of your devotees. Why? Because when I listen to Harikatha, what to speak of the nectar of that Harikatha, what to speak of one atom of the nectar of that Harikatha, but even if the wind that touched one particle of that Harikatha will touch me, then I'll remember what life is all about again. The tattvas will return to me. So he's saying, I don't want any other benediction, oh my Lord, I just want to hear the Bhagavad Katha, beautiful glories of Sri Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, from the lips of pure devotees, and this awakens my heart to all the tattvas. So, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there, when Vidura, I promised I'd come back to this about Uddhav, right? When Vidura first met with Uddhav, then Vidura, he'd been traveling everywhere and he didn't know that actually Krishna had completed his pastimes, and along with all his associates, he had become apocat. We can't say he went to the spiritual world, he just became apocat. He's still here, still in Vrindavan, still in Dwarka, still in Mathura, in his various forms, just became apocat. But Vidura didn't know. So when he met Uddhav, he said, oh Uddhav, tell me, how is Krishna, how is the Yadu dynasty? And hearing this, because Uddhav is feeling intense separation, he just went into trance. So then Sutta Goswami describes, Shanaka Bhagaval Lokan Nrilokam Puna Agataha Vimridje Netra Viduram Pritya Uddhava Utsmayan. Shanaka means very slowly. Bhagaval Lokan, from the abode of Bhagavan. Nrilokam Puna Agata, Uddhav came back to the world of human beings. In other words, by his separation in his samadhi, he entered into Bhagaval Lok, into Krishna Lok, and he met with Krishna there. And then Shanaka Bhagaval Lokam Nrilokam Puna Agata. He slowly came back into external consciousness. Vidmirja Netra Viduram, and he was wiping his eyes because so many tears were streaming from his eyes. And he looked at Vidura, Pritya Uddhava Utsmayan, and he spoke to Uddhav and he was smiling. Why was Uddhav smiling? Because when he was in Samadhi, Krishna said to him, "Oh Uddhav, Vidura asked you a question. You should answer his questions." And because in his Samadhi, Krishna told you, answer the questions of Vidura. So he slowly came back into external, and then he was smiling, looking at Vidura. Oh, Krishna loves you so much. Because he told me I have to tell you this, what happened. So actually this is Harikatha. Harikatha means that the speaker every day is going in Samadhi, realizing the pastimes and the glories of Guru and Vaishnavas and Gauranga and Radha Krishna, and then coming back into this world, then they're speaking. Tasmin mahan mukaritam manubis charitra piyusha shaisha sharita aparita swavanti. Just like the snow on the top of a mountain. When the summer comes, it melts and it runs down. Naturally, it becomes the Ganges river. And so many rivers flowing in all directions. So that flowing of the river is natural because of the melting. So in the same way, when we serve a pure Vaishnava and melt their hearts, then from that very high place, Goloka Vrindavan, the natural river of Harikatha comes flowing down like this. This is actual Bhagavad Katha. So, in Vidvat Rudhibriti, the word Sravanam, hearing, means seeing through the ears. Kirtanam, performing kirtan means seeing in the heart. Because why? Kirtana prabhave smarna hoibe. The remembrance of Krishna is awakened by the power of kirtan. And smarna means seeing. So in Vidvat Vruddhibriti, in actual Gaudiya Darshan, Sambandha Gyan is Darshan, Abhideya Gyan is Darshan, and Prayojan Tattva is Darshan. It's Darshan all the way through. Shravanam is Darshan, Kirtanam is Darshan, Smarnam is Darshan. That is actual Shuddha Bhakti in Gaudiya Darshan. All is a direct experience. As Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Raja Vidya Raja Goya Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyakshavagavam Dharmyam Susukam Kartamav. This bhakti is the king of knowledge. The stage of Nishtha, one can realize Krishna's Roop and Gun related to opulence. Then, in that stage of Nishtha, one's pap is destroyed. You know, bhakti has two symptoms at first, sadhana bhakti, Kleshagni and Subhada. This Kleshagni has three stages: the destruction of pap, the destruction of papa bij, and then the destruction of avidya. So in the stage of Nishtha, your pap, your sins are destroyed. But papa bij, that means a shadow of impressions of sins is still there in the consciousness. And due to that, though one begins to see the form of Krishna, one cannot realize how sweet his form is. And one cannot realize his associates. And therefore, Mukunda Goswami's comment on Bhakti Samrita Sindhu, he says, Ruchihi papa bij nashad madhurya anubhavaha. By doing, hearing, chanting and remembering, engaging in bhakti in the stage of nishtha, then ruchi comes. And ruchi means that by doing bhajan with nishtha, the papa bij, pap is already destroyed. Now the Papa Bij is destroyed, and therefore there is Madhurya Anubhav, the awakening of realization of Krishna's sweetness and see Krishna's associates. And then one can really know Guru Tattva. Yeah? Because who is Gurudev? Tvam gopika barishabayes tanayanti kesi sevayadikaini garoni japada padme dasyam pradaya kurumam prajakana nesri radangri sevana rasei sukinim sukabdo. Anyone who's a pujari, then they'll have to tell this every day. Before they do worship the Lord, you have to worship Guru and say, "Oh my Gurudev, oh Gurudev, you are very, very near and dear to the lotus feet of the daughter of Brishubhanu Maharaj. And you have the power to bestow upon me Seva Adhikar, the eligibility for Radha Krishna's Nitya Nikunja Seva. So therefore, oh Gurudev, be kind to me and sink me into the ocean of happiness of the service of Radhika's lotus feet in the forest of Brajakanana, in the beautiful forest of Vrindavan." So in that stage, when one realizes the associates, then one can realize among those associates, Gurudev is there. At first one sees Guru as Nityananda Prakash, the Akhanda Guru Tattva, who's giving steadiness to the heart and destroying ignorance. And then gradually he realizes Gurudev as Guru Rupa Sakhi. So all the acharyas in our parampara, they are all dasis of Radhika. They are all kinkaris of Radhika. These kinkaris are so extraordinarily glorious. Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, he has said, Sri Radha Pada Padma Chavi Madhurataya Prema Chij Jyotire Kambude Udbhuta Pena Stavakamaya Sarvavaidak Japurna Kaishoras Vyanjita Tad Ganaruga Pagana Sri Chamatkara Bhajo Divyalankara Vastra Anusarasa Sakhe Radhika Kinkarista. He's saying, "O Sakhi, just follow the kinkaris of Radhika. Become a follower of the maidservants of Radhika." Why? Srimati Radhika's lotus feet are so beautiful. There is an effulgence emanating from Radhika's lotus feet. When Krishna holds Radhika's lotus feet, he becomes stunned and cannot move. There is a light of prema emanating from the lotus feet of Radhika. Kinkaris of Radhika are made of the foam of the ocean coming from the waves of prema emanating from the lotus feet of Radhika. Each and every one of them, Sarva Vaidak Japurna, is expert in all different types of arts, in painting the body of Radhika, in decorating Radhika, in making ornaments from flowers, in decorating her hair, in singing, in dancing, in making tambul, and so many other arts. And each and every one of those kinkaris, Divyalankara Vasta Anusarasa Sakhe Radhika Karistaha, is decorated with beautiful cloth and ornaments which are shiny. Sachidananda, no. Mahabhav Mai, no. Radhika's Prasadi. Because whenever they render a service to Radhika which is so pleasing to her, Radhika thinks, "I cannot repay you." And she takes off one of her ornaments and gives to that manjari. Or gives some cloth to that. And in this way, each manjari is decorated with the prasadi, ornaments from the Mahabhav Swarup of Radhika herself. That's Guru Tattva. So, such a Guru, what position? Srila Rupa Goswami Pad said, Pranayamaya Vayasya Kunjarandra Pitakshi Shititalumanulabdananda Murcham Patanti Pratirata Vidadano Chastitais Chitta Chitre Smaranibrita Nikunje Radhika Krishna Chandro. Oh my dear mind, remember Radha and Krishna in the Nikunjas of Vrindavan. They're playing together in their loving pastimes. And Pranayamaya Mayasya, that means the maidservants of Radhika, they're Pranayamaya. They're made of love. They feel pranay, oneness with Radhika. Kunjarandra Pitakshi. And they approach that kunj. And the Kunja Bhavan, the pavilion in the kunj, has very beautiful lattice windows Pranayamaya vayasya kunja randra means the holes in the lattice of the window. Kunja randra pitakshi. Those maids of Radhika, they offer their eyes to the holes of that lattice window. And then what happens? Pratirati vidadano. How Radha and Krishna are playing together with each other. Chitritrai. Very astonishing, new and artistic pastimes together. When they see this, then Chititalumanulabdananda murcham patanti. They become so overwhelmed with ananda, with joy, that they faint and they fall to the ground. So all the manjaris are lying on the ground outside the kunj. This is a problem. Then how can they see the pastimes? But you should know that they're lying on the ground unconscious. But not exactly unconscious. They faint, but their eyes are not closed. Their eyes are half closed. Yeah? You see, if you see something amazing, then you look away, you can still see it. Right? Because something amazing leaves an impression in your heart. Then when you look away, you can still kind of see it. So in the same way, that when the manjaris see the beauty, Kanaka jalada gatro nila sonab janetro mragamadavara balo malati kundamalo tarala taruna vesho nila pitambaresho smaranibritani kunje radhika Krishna chandro. The body of Sri Krishna shining like a mountain of emeralds. You can say sapphires, but because Radhika is so golden, the blue sapphires become the green like emeralds. Jatana ki chai pare shama rita duty hoy in Brajvasa. It says Radhika is so beautiful that when her shadow falls on Krishna, Sham becomes Harita. The bluish Krishna becomes greenish. They see the beautiful golden form of Radha and Krishna, and that leaves such an impression in their hearts that when they faint and fall to the ground, they lie there with eyes half closed and they're staring at that impression of the beauty of Radha and Krishna. What joy they feel at that time, no one can describe. No one can describe it. But by Kim Uta, by the logic of Kim Uta, what more? Something can be said to point in that direction. Srila Prabodhananda Sarada Thakur said, Radha Nagara Keli Sagara Nimagna Ali Drisham Yatsukam Nota Lesha Lavaya Te Bhagavata Saravopi Sokyutsavaha Tatra Sa Yadikasya Chin Nirupamam Sobhagya Prapta Sriyam Sri Vrindavananam Nidamni Parane Sriyam Vapurnashatu. Oh, I want to just die in Vrindavan. Why? Because you can attain such a thing. That Radha Nagara, Keli Sagara, the lover of Radhika, Krishna is Radha Nagara. Keli Sagara, his loving pastimes with Radhika, they are like an ocean. Radha Nagara, Keli Sagara, they're like an ocean. Drisham Nimagna Ali, Drisham Yatsukam, and the eyes of the kinkaris, the maidservants of Radhika, they sink in that ocean and they experience such happiness. No talesha lavayate bhagavata sarvopi sokyutsava. Just consider, Bhagavan, Sri Krishna, Supreme Lord, is Sachidananda Vigraha. He is the embodiment of Ananda, the embodiment of joy. But not only that, he makes so many arrangements for his own joy by appearing in so many different forms, in so many different pastimes, in so many different prakashas and prakosts, different chambers of Leela, in so many universes even. But all of the happiness, all the arrangements of happiness that Krishna makes for his own joy, no tal lesha lavayate, cannot be compared to even one drop of the ocean of happiness that those manjaris experience with their eyes. When they look through the Randra Pitakshi, when they offer their eyes to the window of the Kunj. So this is Guru Tattva. That person who is near and dearest Saki, maidservant of Radhika, who is relishing such a joy even Krishna cannot speak or realize or understand the joy that they experience, appears in this world in the form of a Vaishnava and instructs us how we can join that great personality in that ecstatic lila. All we have to do is hear from them and follow their instructions. This is Guru Tattva. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chitite Kori Akya, Ahana Kori Omani Asha. Shri Guru Charani Rati, say, that's the Uttamagati. Ye Prasade Puri Sarva Asha. All the desire to attain that will become completely fulfilled. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Gau Premanande. So, Pujari ji, can we have the arti now? Please, thank you. So just now, there will be Guru Arti. Devotees, please return tomorrow. Bring all your friends and enemies and everyone, you know. No problem. And tomorrow we'll be discussing the 5 Geets of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the Vaishishta, the speciality of the famous 5 Geets of Bhagavatam? Hare Krishna. Jai Sisi Guru Gauranga Gandhava Gagadhari Sisi Radha Govinda Juki Jai. Maharaj, would you like to say something?
First night you should.
Kiva Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Aruti Kesho Kiva Jayo Jayo Gaura Chande Aroti Keshoba Janavi Tatvani Jagamani Batu,
माझी करता जय राधा कृष्ण जुगला मिला बस्तर कर रूप गुण गंगा विदा अलंका कर जगमा हरि मनो विमोहन भदन अमर विशाखारी सखी नम सखी हमरा दुलारे हमरा दुलारे कृष्ण अधिकारे हमरा दुलारे हमरा दुलारे हमरा दुलारे हमरा दुलारे नम सखी रत कमर दुला रत्नम धव कर सर सिर आछे सखी रे मोर सखी पार सुखे बाछे राधे ही राधे गोविंद राधे राधे गोविंद गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय गीत गोर हरि 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 Gopala ki बरसने वाली की जय जय श्री राधे गोविंद जय जय गोपाल गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय गोपाल जय राधा रमण गोविंद गोपाल जय जय राधा रमण गोविंद जय जय Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Guru Sinath Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Shri Guru 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 Govinda Ju ki Nature Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Rupanuga Acharya Varya Shri Bhakti Vedanta Vinayaka Smana Shri Gurudev ki jai Nature Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nature Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Charitam Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nature Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri Guru Govinda Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nature Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Vigyana Bharati Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nichire Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri Bhakti Daita Madhav Goswami Maharaj ki jai Nichire Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Shri A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki jai Nichire Vishnu Om Vishnu Maharashtra Tarasa Shri Srimad Acharya Keshri Shri Bhakti Pradhyana Keshav Goswami Maharaj Paramurudev ki jai Swaparisha Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Sangha Saraswati Thakur ki jai Swaparikara Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Sangha Saraswati Thakur ki jai Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada Bhakti Sangha Saraswati Thakur ki jai Mahabhagavad Shri Gaurkeshwara Swamiji